Second.
Second.
All right, and we'll go around the room first and introduce ourselves. So please let us know your name and if you have any children or grandchildren in the building. And we'll start with you.
I'm Melissa. I have one daughter here, Emmeline. She's in 3rd grade.
I'm Jennifer. My son's in kindergarten. Lisa, my daughter Lainey's in 5th grade. I'm Kim Sheedy. I have a kindergartner and a 2nd grader.
Mike Hudson. I have a 1st grader and a 4th grader.
Danielle Hudson, 1st grader and 4th grader.
Colleen Taylor. No, I'm sorry.
I have a 1st grader and a 5th grader. I'm Sue McIntyre, and I'm a grandmother, and I have Hayden in 3rd grade, Hayden McIntyre.
All right, Penny.
Penny Hauser, I'm the principal at Seneca Street. Hi, I'm Shelby.
All right, tell
I'm a
them what
long-term sub.
and for Mrs. Haas.
My name's Jennifer. I have a 4th grader, Maddox. He's my 4th that's gone through, my oldest being 20. And well, then she'll come through eventually.
Come on in, no problem.
Steve Lennox, I have a kindergarten here. Caleb.
I was going to send her
I'm Melissa Mannix. I have a kindergarten here.
And I'm Jennifer Roberts. I have a kindergartner and a 5th grader, and I'm the communications person for PTO.
I'm Grace Nicholas. I have a 4th grader and a 1st grader, and I'm the secretary.
I'm Leslie Zimmerman. I have a 3rd grader, Amelia, and I'm the treasurer.
And I'm Linda. I teach 2nd grade. I also have a 5th grade daughter in the school, and I'm vice president. So we're going to start out with the survey results. The survey was sent out to both parents and staff, and so Jennifer Roberts has put all the data together and put it in a nice little packet for you. So if you want to look at this while she's talking, you're welcome to. And the floor is yours.
Okay. Just as a preface, I have had a head cold and I'm not hearing the best. So if you have questions or comments about this, it's better to direct them to Linda or anyone up there. Just in case I can't hear across the room, just to give you a heads up. So yeah, we decided to do a survey to reach out to parents, well, families and staff to find out where we stood as a PTO, make sure we're heading in the right direction going forward, doing what people would like PTO to do. You always hear like little whisperings here and there, things that might not be so good or things that are good, and we just wanted to find out, some tangible evidence of how we're doing. So we created this survey together as a group with 10 questions. I sent it out to 35 staff, that's all the staff at our school, and then our parent list for the PTO, which numbers about 125 people. Sent that out by email. We had 22 staff respond, which was a good turnout, and 33 families. So it was a good participation overall. I'm very grateful for those of you that did take the time to respond. The surveys were close to identical, but not exactly identical. There were a couple of things that were only relevant to staff, and then some things that we wanted to know from families that staff didn't really need to weigh in on. So as I go through, you'll see a couple that it says not asked of one or the other, so I'll explain that as well. The first thing we wanted to know was whether or not people know how to contact us. And the majority on both sides, in green you'll see is good or positive, sort of, and the reddish colors are orange, nose, and that kind of thing. So for the most part, people do know how to contact us. If you do not, we have our website, senecastreetpto.org. We have our email address on there. You can also use Facebook Messenger if you're on Facebook.
And that little pink paper that's on your spot is all of that stuff that Jen's talking about. So that's
yes,
perfect.
And I made that.
You can bring that home and it's got everything you need to get hold of.
So feel free to reach out anytime. I'm the communications person, so if you do email, it comes to me, and then I forward it on to the group, make sure that they see it. I don't filter it or anything like that, but it's just so that there's one point of contact, and then I distribute it. The next question we asked, and only of the staff, was I have read the PTO bylaws. Now, of course, everyone is welcome and encouraged to read the bylaws, but with staff, they're the ones that tend to request funds and such from PTO, and so I thought it was important that they see what we can and can't do, whether a vote is required before we're able to fund things and such. So that was the point of that question. Most had not read it, but quite a few had, so that's good. And I provided a link so that they could review that in their spare time. And that link is also, the document itself actually is also on our website, so anyone can look at it at any time to get familiar with how the PTO is required to operate. The best way to contact me, I asked that of the families. Teachers, we know how to get in touch with them, but families have different preferences. People overwhelmingly liked email, so I'm going to try to use that a lot more. Up until now, we had been using it mostly to, in combination with MailChimp, to automatically send out any new posts on our website. But I've also started to use the email list for quick reminders. For example, the survey, I use the email addresses to send that out. So I'll concentrate on using email more. And then the second most wanted was text message. So I will look into setting up Remind again for the people that would like to utilize that. I know that Linda in particular heavily uses texting and even phone calls sometimes to get in touch, but it's kind of a lot of work. So Remind would kind of automate more of that, but it would be convenient for people, so we'll look into doing that. Okay, the next question was, or the next statement, I guess, a true or false sort of thing. I trust the PTO to work in the best interest of the students, and that's why we're here. And overwhelmingly, we had a good level of trust from both the staff and the families. The darker green is strongly agree, and then the lighter green is agree. Very few disagreed on either side, so, and then the gray is neither agree or disagree. And if you see a little white sliver, that's people that just skipped the question. I felt appreciated as a PTO volunteer. We have staff and families that volunteer regularly, so it's very important that to us that they feel appreciated so that they'll want to continue helping. Their time is very valued to us. So overall, we're in pretty good shape. The staff actually felt better appreciated than families, so we'll see what we can do to. It's difficult to say, if they were supposed to think of this year, and we hadn't really done much that involved volunteers, so it's hard to say for sure if people were thinking in terms of this year or not. But we'll certainly, focus on making sure people feel valued. We try our best, and so everyone I've talked to seems pretty happy, but we'll focus on that. Okay, the next statement, the PTO fundraises too much. So with staff, it was pretty evenly split down the middle as far as agree or disagree. A lot of people had no opinion whatsoever. So families overwhelmingly said they disagree. They don't think we do too much fundraising. Forms, flyers, and other paper communications from the PTO are excessive. Again, staff were pretty evenly split on that. I guess the ones that disagreed more strongly disagreed than strongly agreed, or I'm getting it backwards. More strongly agreed that we do too much than strongly disagreed. Families did not think it's excessive. They're the ones that receive the stuff home. They didn't think it was too much, so I think we're on the right track there. Parents have contacted me to complain about PTO this year. This is another one where we had kind of heard that from people a little bit. Most staff said no, they hadn't heard any complaints. A few did. What stands out to us is that we haven't heard any of this. So I think that's something to, if a complaint comes in send it to the board so that, you know, if they're doing something wrong, they'd like to know so they can correct it. They're not trying to run around annoying people or anything. It's possible that perhaps the complaints they didn't think were relevant or whatever, so who knows. But I think communication-wise, it's important to let them know what the feedback is, even if it's not great. If you have not attended a PTO meeting this year, please tell us why. This was for the families. We've had very good turnout this year, but it could always be better. I mean, we're really this is a small percentage of people, but it's better than it has been. Most people said it was an inconvenient time, which is understandable. Everyone's schedules are different. I think that was the primary issue. A lot of people appreciate that we're now trying to do the Facebook Live because they can watch it anytime and see what goes on. So, and then the other reasons were kind of very diverse, so I don't think there's any major problem to look at there. I am satisfied with the PTO so far this year. Staff overwhelmingly agreed with that, and families, the majority agreed, and many didn't have an opinion either way. They probably just haven't really been involved that much. So the next thing I asked, I had listed out some historical budget items. It wasn't from any particular year, it's just past years, things that have been funded. And I asked people to select all of the ones that they would eliminate. There were many on the list, so for this report, I narrowed it down to the top 5. And it was interesting because staff and families were very much on the same page. The order was a little bit different, but the specific items were very much the same. Number 1 on both lists, the technology improvements, like for example, the TVs in the hallway, that kind of thing was what I cited as an example, and that was one that most people didn't think PTO should necessarily be on the hook for. Next up on staff was the 5th grade end of year trip that also made number 3 on the family side. Historically, PTO had chipped in up to $2,000 for, it was supposed to be a matched thing, so the 5th grade would fundraise, and then we would match up to $2,000 to do the end of the year trip. That isn't happening this year, but that had happened in the past, and both staff and families felt that could be eliminated. Class shirts for the 5th grade was another thing that had been done, and both sides thought that could come off. The 5th grade picnic, PTO had only done meat and buns, but still people, thought that could come off. And then historically we've done $100 teacher gifts for each teacher. They could, it's the word gifts is used, it was more like a grant type situation, but we allocated $100 per teacher, and both sides said that could come off the list as well. So those are the top 5. There were other ones, but they 1 or 2 votes each. So we then asked people to enter in their budget ideas, so things that they would like to see if we could afford it, ideas for the future. Now this isn't meaning we're going to do this, but we want the ideas. I won't read through all of it. You can review it on your own. But in bold are, let me think how I did this. I gotta read it again. Okay, the ideas that were similar between both sides are in bold. And then if you see a number, that means that several people said essentially the same idea. So they're the more popular ideas. So I'll just list out the bolded ones. After school clubs, a lot of people requested those. End of year picnic and carnival day for all students. After school homework club, which I suppose I should have put under after school clubs, but also after school tutors, which is similar on the family side. Flexible seating, and the families also said new furniture for the classrooms. Field trips were a big one. 3 people on each side of the survey said something about field trips. They want all kids to be able to go on field trips, so that was a very big one for people. Okay, and then staff, someone requested a mid-year supply budget of approximately $50 per teacher to restock supplies, and then someone on the family side said similarly, specific requests for classrooms on an as-needed basis if the school cannot provide the funds. And cool programs for school and in-school activities were another one. So, and this isn't an exhaustive list of all the ideas, but some of the more common ones. In general, I think both staff and family were looking to do things for the entire school, not specific grades. So whole school celebrations, whole school programs, that kind of thing. That seemed important across the board. So in general, I think the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. I think the board is doing a good job. They're on the right track. Certainly opinions are welcome at any time, and we'll try to fix up the issues here and there, like the appreciation of the volunteers and such. But overall, it seems like people are pretty satisfied. So again, thank you for participating in the survey, and you can reach out anytime by email if you have suggestions, opinions, anything, good or bad.
And one way we've already tried to appreciate the volunteers is the little things like at the monthly, when you show up for the meetings, we try to always have something at your spot, and when the families came to help at the fun run, we had the little hand popcorns, just something to say you're appreciated. So we're trying there. Number 3 on the list is new PTO communications. So what we're going to try, we've talked about how to reduce the number of paperwork and make it more consistent for families so that they know when and expect when things from PTO are coming home. So the PTO meeting, the Tuesday following, so next Tuesday, you'll get home a kind of newsletter that will tell about anything going on in the month. Stapled to it will be any forms that will be needed to be sent back, maybe volunteering forms or anything for the upcoming events that are coming up. So in January, there's a Glow Bingo. So attached to that next week will be some things asking about if you want to help with that or anything like that. And then 2 weeks after that, there'll be another note that goes home with any other reminders, anything else that needs to be put in there, PTO related. So that way you're not getting constant papers home. And we're thinking that way you can kind of plan on it. Well, every Tuesday I'll expect to see a paper and everything will be in there and a staple to it. And that way you're not getting just each day. Yeah, right. And we were going to do, I think, blue and orange or something. We were going to do a consistent color. So whatever you see come home next Tuesday will be the color that you'll see each time to look for. Because what we noticed, especially like when we did the t-shirts, when I called parents to ask, like, did you really want a t-shirt? I hadn't gotten your form back. They said, we never got a form home. Oh, we sent home 3. Well, you know, but they were either at the bottom of their backpacks or they never got home or they got thrown in the garbage. So we're going to try a consistent schedule so that way you can plan on, here's when it's coming home. We'll try that. We'll see if it works. The next paper you have is the fundraiser / calendar for the spring. So what we tried to do, we sat down last week and tried to come up with a family fun night for every month that is not a fundraiser. If there's any money charged at the event, it will just be to get back the money that we needed to buy the supplies for the event. It won't be anything exorbitant. And so I'll go through a few of them. In January, we've got Glow Bingo. There is a restaurant fun night at Chuck E. Cheese on the 28th. You'll also see the Spirit Days are listed on here. So those are for the school.
I'm sorry, Chuck E. Cheese is the 18th.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
I'll change it on there. Thank you. All right. Easy change. All right. In February, we've got a dance party we're going to do on the 8th. And box tops are due on the 26th, which Melissa will talk to in a few minutes. In March, we had talked at the last PTO meeting about the first is Dr. Seuss Day and having something in school relating to that, but we also thought we would do a family fun night with that, bringing in Dr. Seuss books and having guest readers and making it a fun night of it. In March will also be the candy bar sales, which Lori Beretta is doing that. April is Inside Out Day. We also thought we'd do a cleanup day out in the community around our school, just around our school like we did in the past years, and some sort of a fun planting where the kids each get to plant a flower, bring it home. So that will be in April. In May, we've got Hat Day, and then we've toyed around with a math and science family fun night. We've got a couple of connections with some cool science things we could do. And in June is the Neon Bright Color Shades Day for the Spirit Day, and we thought a water-themed summer social of some kind, similar to maybe what some of the other schools do with a water slide or something of that nature. I guess we wanted to get an opinion on this, so we wanted to get a motion to approve it, if you guys think this sounds good, or if there's any suggestions or anything you don't like on it or want changed, or.
Is there a learning fair?
The learning fair is on there, but that's not PTO.
Oh.
That's a school thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that's what
Yeah, no, that's a school thing, and I think that's in February or March.
Yeah, we made sure it didn't conflict. I
Right.
remember that whenever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this isn't like an addition.
Right, just a
Okay.
fun, for the math and science, are you saying?
Yeah.
Right, like more like the kids come and are doing things versus bringing projects. Right.
Wasn't there a game night or something? you said
There was
about?
going to be a game night in February, and we thought of that, but that was going to be ending up costing us quite a bit, because through Game Right you pretty much get the games free to try out, but then everything you don't buy you have to pay to send back. And I was worried that we wouldn't get people to buy them, and then would spend a lot sending them back. Other feedback on it? Anything that people want changed, added, suggestions?
The candy bar sales, is that set in stone, or maybe think of something?
Well, what else were you thinking instead? Because that was something Lori really wanted to do. She thought it would be an easy sale because they're only $1. You could, everyone's willing to spend $1 on something. Did you have other
When's
suggestions?
Easter this year? You know,
I don't know.
In April.
that would
It's
set up
April-
for like
April
a
22nd,
Easter
I think,
candy
21st.
Gertrude Hawk.
It's late.
We didn't want to go with she is doing Gertrude Hawk, but it's the candy bars. She didn't want to do the sales because that hasn't traditionally done well in the last couple of years.
That's why we didn't do it last year. We got
Right.
feedback that people missed it.
They did, right, but then when we looked back through how they made up on it, we didn't earn a lot on it. Lori wanted to try something different. She had said she would try the candy bar thing. I don't know. We had kind of agreed just as a board to
Yeah.
try it for the year and see what happens this year, and then if it fails, then
Do you
try
have to
something
pre-buy
else.
the candy bars? Because I know I felt like Willard Pryor was stuck with a whole lot of candy bars.
They're still selling them.
Yeah.
They got in on a deal too, so.
Well, I don't know. It was when my daughter was in pre-K.
Yeah, yeah, no, I did it
Yeah.
last year with them.
They still do.
Yeah.
No, I can't remember.
Right.
I can't sell candy bars in my work.
Right,
so-
those are like the world's best,
There was
yeah.
a box of $2 candy bars in my office today, it's gone.
Yeah, I think in the teacher's room too, that will be a big hit, just to keep a box in there, and there'll be, anything that's, yeah, we'll go. All right. So Leslie, the treasurer's report, and those forms you have as well, you can look on your spot.
Are we, I'm sorry.
Should we-
to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Are we voting on this or tabling it for now, or?
Yeah, let's vote on it. That's fine. How many people would approve the calendar for the spring? We go based on majority, so. All right, so that's a majority of the, all right. Then we'll go with that. Thank you.
Oh, no
Gotta
problem.
remember all the little,
I
sorry.
remember your stuff, not my own.
All right, Leslie.
All right, so on your monthly treasurer report, we started off the month with $4,142.09. We had quite a few different sources of income come in this month. Some of that was the t-shirt money, and that check has already been cut. It was cut in December, so you don't actually see it on your form tonight. From Walmart, there's a $500 listing on there. That was a grant that we got. And then the recovery room fundraiser, we got that money finally. As far as our expenses, I had to order checks, and Amazon, we bought a couple prizes for the fun run, but we will recoup that from, or just take it out of what we made from it. So it's not really an expense of ours. So we're ending the month with $7,744.70
It's a good gain from the,
for the month.
yeah.
Any questions?
Should we just note that Walmart thing is for the offer?
Yeah, it is in there, in
Oh, is
her
it?
On
list.
the
It's
next
just not-
one.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing it up, though.
Yes, yeah, so the $500 grant, yeah, you can talk to that,
So,
because you're on the next one.
Yep, so on to the next page that you have, that's our budget that we have for the spring that we're working towards. And if you find under grants, there's $500 that is from Walmart, and we're applying that towards the author visit that we've allotted $650 for. So majority of what we want PTO to put towards that author visit for the kids is already paid for, which is
And that
great.
wasn't just we didn't just decide to do that. When I had put in for the grant and applied for the grant, I put it that I wanted it for the author visit. So
For that
that's why,
intention.
and then Walmart gave us the 500. So that was, yeah, that's why it's going towards that.
So a couple of things on the budget that I want to point out is that the fun run, we're doing great with that so far. The total you see there is not all the total from our online sales until it's all done, and then we'll be able to add that portion in. So by next month's report, you guys will be able to see the total for that.
So that number is not.
This is just the cash that in checks that we've gotten so far. And then the field trips. So we said that PTO can handle paying the $1,750, which is traditionally what we've paid. It's $750 per student in the school. We're saying that parents need to cover the same amount for their kids. So PTO puts in half, parents put in half. That will be able to cover the trip, the buses, everything. One thing that we did want to note is that money is not per class. This is $750 per child. If the teacher chooses to not take a field trip, that is on them. We have no control over that. We cannot force that on them. But that money stays in the PTO budget. It doesn't get to be moved to another class. It is for field trips. So we might have a reserve of it next year because every teacher is choosing to not use it this year. Does anybody, the carryover for next year, we would like to have $5,000 in our budget to carry over to next year minimum. And we would like to put that into our bylaws so that that is going forward so that we don't ever start the year off in the same place that we started this year off. Anything else I'm missing?
No, but the 5,000, when we figured it out, would cover everything that we had wanted to cover for the year. That's why
Yes.
we picked that number.
Yes.
And then beyond that would be wonderful. It would be wonderful to start with much more than that, but that's a minimum that we were thinking of. What else did we want to say in here?
The assemblies,
Yep.
sorry.
Go ahead.
The total that you see there, that is what we've already had. That is for our merry-go-round that we've already started, so we will owe that money in the spring and
For the artists that came in
Thank
in the fall.
so
Yeah.
that money has already been
Yeah.
accounted for.
Right. It was merry-go-round, and then the person who did the painter. Yeah, it was combined. Yep. Which actually wasn't, we thought that was actually a good price too. There's aid that comes into that as well, so that's why the cost was a lot cheaper than what we thought it would be.
So I just have two, this is all really great. The teachers know they have $750 per student.
So that's going to be going out. We had to get it approved first.
Right.
Okay, and then,
Right.
I love that you're gonna do the 5,000. Do you guys think you'll get together and rewrite your bylaws this year? Or go through them?
Rewrite the whole?
Well,
By-
go
Add
through
that
it-
in.
Add that
go
in, yeah.
through it and-
Yeah, we were gonna add, we wanted to add that in.
okay.
Yeah, but that has to be, again, a motion to the to you all to vote on.
So I put on here that it's in our bylaws, just to remind myself to really bring it up to you
Yeah.
guys. So
Right.
we have to make sure that everybody, or majority, is in agreement on that.
So what you see on this is what we're planning for the spring, knowing what we have now that we can cover, that will cover everything. But for June and next year, we were gonna sit down at the end of the year and plan for next year. So this is not what's necessarily going to be for next year, it's what we can afford for now.
The remainder
Is
of this
paying
year.
the field trips, paying the little bit of the author visit, the scholarships that we always pay,
Reading incentive.
the reading incentive, yep. Does anyone have questions on any that you see?
I actually do. All
Yep.
these things, the only fundraiser on here is candy bars?
Because we already have raised quite a bit.
Right. But if you want, is it all set to spend and then still have 5,000?
Mhm.
So isn't that what happened with last year's money? Like there wasn't fundraiser? I
Well,
still don't
last
know
year
what
there was,
happened to
right,
the money.
no, last year there wasn't fundraising during the year at all, right? So then it was just, a lot was spent, that 10,000 or whatever it was. But this year, we've already, with the fun run, you can see online that, I think it's,
Too in a minute.
right, it's up to almost $6,000 already. So
That
there'll be
itself.
lots more in there.
Right. And I didn't put candy bar sales, I'm sorry, I didn't put candy bar sales on the budget
Yep,
Yeah,
because I just overlooked it.
honestly, just making sure like.
Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it,
Right.
so it doesn't happen like that again.
As
Right.
the year goes on, any of the other, from the calendar that we had, any other money that we take in, I'll keep adding it to this so that come June, when we figure out what next year's budget's going to be, we'll know everything that we brought in for this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll know this is what we have to spend to go forward.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
my daughter's in third grade, so it
Yeah.
doesn't affect her this year, but is the fifth grade still having the end of year field trip and the PTO just isn't putting into it? Or?
So I think, no. So the teachers, I think, have decided, and Penny, you can speak to this more, but from when I had talked to them was that they're not doing a large field trip. They are doing a field trip. But it's not like Niagara Falls or something. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if they have decided on that yet.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
The last time I spoke to them, they were still thinking about what they wanted.
Right. That's what I had heard too. But it's not something that they're going to need $2,000 of our money for.
They'll fundraise that, whatever their trip
Right.
is going to be on their own, so that we're not putting into it.
Or the other buildings do it per student. That-
Right.
The cost per student. I know the other buildings.
Right. And the
cost
and the
per
P,
student to the families.
right.
Okay.
And the PTO had asked about selling Smetzels because that's always a big hit. And the fifth grade had said they wanted to save that because they wanted to do those. So that was fine. So I know they're planning to do something because I know they've at least reserved that.
I have a question
Sure.
too, that though, when the fifth grade is selling the Smetzels,
Mm-hmm.
will that go home to all of the students so that any of the students have the opportunity to buy and support them?
Right.
It
Right.
will go home to
Right.
everybody?
Yeah, that's what they've always.
Okay.
That's what they've done in the past. Yeah. Who else has questions on? Bud?
Does the $750 per student go towards the fifth grade field trip?
It-
Right.
That's separate.
Right. Yeah. No, that's their own. Yeah.
If
Okay.
that's what they want to use
Yeah.
as their field trip.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you get down to the 5,000 and you have more teachers, like last year I know that a lot of the teachers,
Mhm.
the librarian, the principal, was all asking for money from
Mhm.
the PTO.
Yep.
So if you get to that 5,000, you're just gonna say no to them? Is that what?
And that's what we started the year with. We said when we started the year and had $500, we said to all the teachers and we said to everybody, going forward, you cannot. There's no money to spend, and the teachers were fine with that.
Well,
And they said
did
in-
spend a lot last year. The whole
Correct.
school, it was, we had a lot of people asking us
Right.
for money.
Right, and they know that the answer will be no if there's no money in there. We've already said that to them. I mean, when we talked in the faculty meeting about it, they were very agreeable to. They understood what it was and what the year was. It's a regrowth year of trying to get back to, and that's why in all the family fun nights we have not spent any money other than it's all just been donation and that's what we thought for like the staff appreciation. We would ask families again, let's donate some desserts, let's donate. It doesn't have to be we go out and cater something for $500 or I mean teachers were even asking at one of the meetings we'd like just one of those days that we used to have where we can have a lunch together. It doesn't matter if the family's provided or whatever. just some time to be together. I don't think they're looking necessarily for money. So I agree, last year it was like that, but they know now that it's just not. It's going to.
It was definitely a year that we were giving
Yep.
back to the kids
Mhm.
because we as a PTO paid a lot of money for all of these events and things to happen, whereas we didn't ask for a whole lot or expect. It was kind of a year to give, so.
Right. And we've tried this year really to go on donations. I've really been looking for grants, looking for ways to get money in, and we've been really successful. Asking a lot, at the last, at the Boo Bingo, Giovanni's donated all the pizza. We've been getting, we're trying to not spend any money on that kind of thing and just ask the community to help.
I just wanted to say that I think, I think it's important to revisit the budget each year. And
Definitely.
move away from getting into habits that burden the PTO with fundraising. If it's revisited every year, maybe some years we can do a little more,
That's what I was
some
gonna
days
say.
less. But everyone has to be involved in voting and deciding that.
Yeah.
And we can't have this situation where people see it as kind of an expectation that
Right.
this is going to happen every year.
Because
No,
it did
it's
get in
usually-
that habit,
Yeah.
as you saw. Yeah. And people expected their $100.
Yeah,
They
it
expected
just
the.
was habitual, and
Yeah.
it puts a huge burden on whoever takes over these roles, and it shouldn't be that way. So, my 2 cents.
Other questions on the proposed budget for the spring? Can we do a motion to approve this budget for the spring so that we can move forward and tell teachers they have their $750 for the field? Because it does take a lot of planning. I know the time span is 2 months to plan a field trip and get it approved and get the busing. So if we want to tell them, we'd like to tell them by January 1st so that they can plan something for the spring. And really, if you think about it, it seems like a lot of people will say, well, doesn't $750 cover it all? It doesn't. It really doesn't. So when they ask you for money as well, that's an honest thing. The bus itself is $250 to $300 depending on where you go. And then if you figure in the cost of whatever you're going to do, it's expensive.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No.
I just thought of something that had been discussed in the past that you might want to mention regarding, because people, if they do field trip, are likely going to be asked to make up the rest of the cost. And there had been discussion about doing a fund or asking whenever a permission slip goes home, asking if a parent wants to
Right.
donate.
Yep.
So we have, we understand there are people that are in very difficult situations, and that money is difficult to come up with. So I think, we've got their back. We're not, we'll do the best we can to get that taken care of, just like we did for the t-shirt situation. But
And with the t-shirts, just so that you're aware too, it was great because we had so many people check off the box to donate a t-shirt that there was no money out of PTO that we had to pay. It was all covered, all the kids who couldn't pay. And there was a lot of kids who couldn't pay. So it was really great to see people reach out and be willing to donate. Even a lot of the teachers who put just 2 or 3, I'll donate. So it was great to see that people reached out and supported, and it's good.
When did the t-shirts come in?
What's that?
When did the t-shirts come in?
They went home.
They already went home.
They went home on Friday.
Courtney never got them.
Monday.
Yeah, they should have all gone home, so ask.
yesterday.
And if not, we have, yep. And speaking of those two, I do have actually another box of, and lots of the PTO ones and other sizes, so if you want other ones too, we also have tonight, you can get later. Can we make a motion to approve the budget for the spring? Who's in favor of, okay, all right, so we've got that. All right, so Jen, do you want to speak to the fun run?
Sure. So we held the fun run, the actual run itself, in the days before Thanksgiving and right after Thanksgiving, because we're very lucky and had a snow day, of all things. But so it was our first year doing it. We had no idea what to expect. We were told that Coach D was working with the 5th graders to do an obstacle course. And I got in that gym and saw the obstacle course, and I said, we're going to have broken limbs here. But it didn't, luckily none of that happened. It was very safe, and just as a volunteer, it was incredibly rewarding to see the sheer joy on the kids' faces. Like when they first started running their laps, they had so much fun. I couldn't believe it. The simplest thing, using old mats and whatever coach could conjure up, they were just grinning, giggling, trying so hard to get as many laps as possible, and so many of them begged to do it again. When they were all done, can we do it in next gym class? And he did let them if it was already set up. And I see kids in school, you're the fun run lady, can we do it again? So they just loved it. I was totally shocked. As far as the actual fundraising aspect, that went very smoothly as well. So right now, with all the envelopes that I've received in and the online donations combined, we're at $5,894. That is with, last I checked, it was 33% participation. So that amount for that small amount of participation is very, very good. I don't know if there are envelopes still floating around out there, if that applies to any of you. Deadlines are deadlines, but when it comes to money coming in, you know.
We'll take it.
We'll still take it. The online website is actually still open as well, because I thought that I would need it open in order to put in the donations, the cash donations. It turns out I could have ended it anyway, but in any case, it's open until I think Friday. So if you want to sneak some last minute credit card donations in, that's fine too. You can still share the links out. We did very well. I guess it went seamlessly. I can't complain. I would love if we made it a tradition to see how we could get more participation, I guess. But I'm very grateful for all who did participate. It was very moving to see the comments come in on the website, like people just saying nice things to their kids, and it was great. So I think, you know, this year was the first time we were kind of running around like crazy trying to get everything organized and in place. So we didn't have a whole lot of time to promote it during the fundraiser. We didn't do an assembly. We didn't really do any incentives along the way. So that might be a way to kind of keep the momentum going better next time. But like I said, I'm very grateful for how well it did, and I don't really have any complaints. If anyone has any feedback about it, good or bad, let us know. Ideas.
Like we were talking about outside of school, I mean, just the fact that the kids participated and know what it is now, and they loved it. So next year they'll actually be kind of bugging their parents.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that'll help. I mean, they'll
have to do that. I know my daughter does that.
The kids were. I think you know a lot of people really didn't know what a fun run was. The kids certainly did not. And so now they know what it is. They'll get excited about it. So it'll kind of advertise itself in a way. Like I said, we definitely welcome feedback. Everyone I've spoken to loved it, and they said they would love to do it again. So we'll plan on it unless we hear otherwise, I guess.
The kids were funny. They kept saying like, "We're in the Ninja Warrior course."
Yeah.
We're like, and they were, when we asked what they liked best, they liked the tall hill you had to climb inside them. Those kids were so brave. The first time they went around, they were kind of like sheepishly going, and they're flying, jumping.
Like, horse, like Olympic horse race, horse like stuff or something. I don't know. It was just hilarious. I was having the best time of my life doing that.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Yeah.
Even the kids who you would think might be a little reluctant, they were just really all in there.
They were fun.
So much
It's
fun.
All right.
So that's all I had, unless anyone has questions about it. I can't think of anything more.
All right. Melissa, box up.
Jen, can you use your phone?
We need your phone. We need your phone.
To go live.
It's all hanging up. Mine's hung up too.
Sorry, we had a phone failure. Can you log in so I can go live on yours?
So I'm your box tops coordinator. I don't have a whole lot for box tops right now. I sent home a flyer that had like some fall leaves on it and asked them to get them back to me before Christmas break. I've had a couple of them come filtering in. We are still getting box tops and baggies in the office, so that's fantastic as well. We did get our box tops that we sent in October, end of October, got received. So we will be getting $686.50 from Box Tops. They will hopefully come to check sometime here in December. I haven't seen anything in the office yet. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I thought our goal should be maybe $1,000 for the year, so we're already well beyond that, which is fantastic. I'm on Box Tops Facebook page trying to find what works for other schools. A lot of schools are reporting that their numbers are down. A lot of participating products are backing out, which is really frustrating. So if anybody has any ideas of things that they would like to do, or if they've heard, you know, my cousin's school did this or something, I'm more than willing to take ideas, you know, to see what is working. Some schools are doing where you can either put a box top or a dime on the paper, so maybe I will potentially see if parents want to do that as well. You know, you
Cool
can
idea.
Either or,
Yeah, I
or
like
both,
that.
because a box top is worth a dime. So, you know, we could
That's a
certainly
cool idea.
consider
Yeah.
doing something like that.
Never seen that before. I like that idea.
You know,
Yeah.
What if you don't have the 25 or whatever, what can?
yeah, people could fill in the spaces with dimes.
I like that.
You know,
Yeah, that's a
something
cool
like
idea.
that. So,
So can I do that?
yeah, you certainly can. Yes,
Because
yeah.
if you shop, like we were saying,
It's
if you
not
shop at
live,
Aldi's,
but it's
there's
recording.
really-
And that's yeah,
there.
that's what a lot of people are saying. So I mean, if we want to,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Can you go
I like the
live?
the dime.
Perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
For the vote.
So maybe I'll
Can
work
you go
on
live
that,
from
or just after Christmas, that'll be our next thing going out.
Can I do it on the ones we have now?
Yeah, you certainly
the
can do it on the
results
ones
of it?
now. Yeah,
'Cause my kid just-
And
Just
kids
the
might like that
results.
too. Of like they might have dimes at home that they
Yeah.
could stick on. That would be
Yeah.
a cool.
definitely.
Yeah.
You can't
So-
vote on
Yeah,
here.
my kids are like, we don't have
You have to
enough
be
box
present to vote.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a way. Maybe I can make like a little amended thing and send it home. You know, for the leaf one. You know, put your name on it, and you can fill in with dimes if you'd like. Yeah, I can send an email definitely.
What's that?
the next one going out?
The next one needs to be mailed by March 1st. It has to be postmarked by March
You
1st.
have to be.
So the
here
Wednesday
to vote.
prior
You
to
cannot
that is
vote.
when I will probably try to get them in the mail, which I think
Because
is
other
on
people
the
want to vote,
February.
they could.
Thank you.
I think it was
thought we
February
knew that.
26th. I was hoping to get just the fall one in by you know the end of by Christmas break,
No, because you're not having it.
just so I can start counting
They
baggies and
thought that
counting
somebody
and
on here thought
you know
that.
weeding out the expired ones. What was that?
They take it twice a year? You mail it in, right?
Well, they will only cut you a check twice a year.
Oh.
So you can mail in, if I wanted to mail in every week, I can. It's a lot of postage. But they will only cut a check in December and April. So they have to be postmarked by October 31st and March 1st. So, yep. Any other questions on box tops? No.
All right, so the book fair thing we'll move on because she was unable to be here. She's got a sick child at home, but basically she was able to. She thought reach her goal in order to get the author visit, so that's good. The winter social, Colleen, if you want to speak to that.
So for the winter social, we have, we're gonna be selling some refreshments. We have Little Caesars donating pizza. We're having parents send in bottled water, and treats to sell. We're doing the cookie walk. And we will do a sing-along, for Christmas carols. We're gonna have sing-along.
Yep.
And we'll have, reindeer food, a craft in the art room, a few crafts in the art room. Letters to Santa. We have the mailbox
Yep.
in the office. We have Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the leadership group today, when I asked about the elves, they were very excited. So I told them to send them back this week. I know it didn't say till next Wednesday, but I said the sooner the better. So, and I told them if they don't choose to do it, then we're going to look for others because you had the certain number of hats, and we were going to try to fill all of them. Yeah.
Fifth graders, but we asked the leadership club if they would be willing to dress up as elves. I mean, all they have to do is wear green or red or whatever, and I have these hats that they can have as a gift for their time. And
yeah, they were
basically
excited.
look
So
cute. I
that's
mean,
good.
they can hand out the papers for the letters. Or,
Perfect.
You know, like help with the reindeer food or whatever. But
Yep.
the main purpose is just to be festive and look cute.
Sounds good.
And it's just something fun. Like,
Yeah.
you know, these kids have taken it upon themselves to join the leadership.
Right.
It's just another thing.
Yep. And I know you do have some forms in the in the office, so that came back already.
Oh, really?
There were a few. There were, I think, 4. So.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
So you're welcome. You can grab those. All right. Oops.
Have something for like a photo booth thing.
Be cute.
I have like props and stuff for Santa, like elf hats, elf ears, stuff like that, and then you could just put like wrapping paper on the wall, and then people could stand in front of it with the props. And take, like,
That's cute.
That is very cute.
Yeah. If you're
Yeah, because
interested.
that was like our backup idea anyway for Kid Santa. Was to
Oh,
just
just-
have things where they could take like selfies pictures.
Yeah, because I have all of that, because we have a Christmas party that we do it for, so I didn't know if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
I can bring it. It's like
If people are going to take selfies, can you have them post it with the hashtag for our school so that we have a collection of them if people are going to use their own phones? That way we can still see
good
it and we
idea.
can share it with other people for next year for
Yeah,
future events.
Good idea.
So, what's the hashtag? What should we do?
Develop one. I got you.
Yeah.
Danielle's
I
on
don't
it.
know that. I just have an idea.
We do it for like weddings. And
Yes.
stuff. Come up with something
Next
kinda
to
unique.
the
Yes. Danielle, did you hear Penny?
Just put a big sign next to the photo booth.
Oh yeah.
Directions.
I thought it'd be a cute idea. We can see them all.
That's so cute.
All right, so our next on the agenda, since we didn't know if everybody knew both of the candidates who were running for president, we were going to have them both introduce themselves and say whatever they wanted. So we'll start with Mike. You can stand up or sit down or whatever you want to do. Introduce yourself
I'm
and
sure how formal it was, but I just.
whatever you want to do.
So hi everybody, my name is Mike Hudson. Just a little background about myself. I have a son, Derek. He's in 4th grade. A daughter, Emily. She's in 1st grade. I do have a degree in finance, so I'll help with the financial background and an MBA in management, which will help manage this whole situation. But a little experience about me. Last year I was a box top coordinator. I helped with monthly contests, rewards, and fun days. Basically, my goal was providing additional funds with maximum fun.
Mhm.
So just try to get as much in with as low cost and more fun for the kids. So when prior leadership left early last year, I helped step up, helping help the remaining members throughout the year. Although the decisions we made were tough, we spent a lot of money not leaving a lot this year. It was what we had to do last year to boost morale. But I worked closely with the former principal and the board members and helped with popcorn days. I literally assembled the popcorn machine in my living room. Yeah, he's unloaded in the back of Kim's truck. Help listen to students at the bus stop in my neighborhood. I talked to the kids like, hey, what do you need? And across the board, we needed indoor recess things. So I brought that to the board. And we did that. I helped out with also just various activities from DJing the glow party to watching the children during the PTO meetings last year, which is why I wasn't here. I was watching the kids, the PTO meetings. If I am elected, I'm going to bring solid leadership to the team. Obviously, the board has done a great job this year fundraising and doing what they've done so far. But I feel like we can take it to the next level by developing, additional committees to better utilize everyone's skills. And I will lead through fairness and make sure that everyone on the board and in the meetings has an equal voice. My goal is that we help make the students' school day the most enjoyable it can be. I want the kids to be happy to go to school and be happy when we get off the bus. Not because the day's over, but because they had a great day. And I believe that if we work together, we can soar to new heights.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, and Melissa, you want to stand up or sit?
So, I prepared something as well. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Melissa Mannix. I have a son here at Seneca Street. His name is Caleb, and he's in kindergarten. So before he was born, I knew that I wanted to help Seneca Street School. We moved in, we're just a few blocks away. I quickly found out what my elementary school was going to be, and I wanted to figure out how I could support the school, even though I didn't have a child yet. By doing so, I dropped off box tops in the main office. It took me like 4 attempts to get into the building because I came when we were closed. But I eventually managed to drop off a bunch of box tops. And I also made sure that Seneca Street was the designated school on both of our Price Chopper cards so that the school would get our funds through Price Chopper. Last year when Caleb was in Willard Pryor Pre-K, I had the opportunity to sit on their PTO, and on their PTO meetings while I was out on maternity leave with Bryce. And I definitely helped volunteer with some of their events. I took some minutes for their meetings when their secretary was out sick. So I did learn a lot from that PTO on how things are run and things like that, which was wonderful. I learned, I was really thrilled to learn that our PTO meetings were on a Wednesday night, because theirs were on a Tuesday morning, so it was off once I went back to school. I was a little disappointed I wasn't able to have an active role in their meetings anymore, so having them on Wednesday nights was fantastic. I quickly added PTO dates to my calendar and let my husband know that this was something that I was going to be participating in. At the very first meeting, I signed on to be the box tops coordinator. I was really excited and still am to chair this position. We started with a goal of $1,000, and just in the first 2 months, we've already raised $686 through box tops alone. So this position has also been a great learning tool for Caleb. He has helped me collect box tops, and Mrs. Salerno is witness to this. He apparently stops in her office almost every morning to check on the box that's in there to see how many box tops are in there. He will turn around and ask her to unzip his backpack and put any of the box tops in it. So she thinks that's quite fun, and he actually enjoys it as well. But he knows, like we talk at home, he knows that these box tops are going to help earn money for our school that can be put towards other activities and other things for the students. He's helped me construct the collection boxes that we put out in the community, and he loves to find the boxes when we're out running errands and check inside them to see if there are any box tops. This position has also allowed me to be a great example to him on taking pride in something and putting effort into something, with the end result being that we all get something great out of it. I hope that if I'm elected PTO president, that I get the opportunity to continue to show our children here at Seneca Street that if they put their heart into something and some effort too, that they can do great things. I feel that our children deserve to have the opportunity to go on learning field trips. I feel that our children need to learn that it is hard work and dedicated parents like all of you that allow us to raise the money needed for those trips, or that your hard work and support are what allow us to put in the amazing family nights or events where our kids have so much fun. At these events, our children continue to learn. They learn to support and help each other while being kind to one another. Working on the PTO board has taught me a lot about our school and how strongly we feel that our children come first and that community is important. We work together both in the school and in the community. We ask for support from community members, and the community comes through in big ways supporting our school. Setting a good example for our students is what I aim to do. I hope to continue to work beside my fellow board members, principal, teachers, and parents as we all keep our common goal in mind, which is to continue to promote the growth and development of our children in their home, school, and community. I feel that it's very important for you as parents and teachers to have a voice in what our children learn and participate in. I will welcome your thoughts and ideas for fundraisers and different activities for our school. We need to be united strong, and the best way to do that is to do it together.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, so what we're going to do, we've never actually had to have a vote. So, I mean, we've voted because of the bylaws, but there's always been one person running. So this is different. So what we have is some little ballots. You'll each get one. We thought people would be more comfortable voting not seeing each other's. So we have the little 4 carols up there, my little dividers. So you can take your thing up. There's pens up there. Make a vote. You can put it into the envelope that is empty at the present time. And then once everybody votes, we'll count them in front of you, and we'll say who the new president is. So we'll hand you out a ballot. You can take a turn going up to one of the carols, make your vote, and then you can put it in.
I'm going to be standing here with the envelope, so when you're done voting, you can just drop it in here and I'll give it to the board.
And in the meantime, while you're waiting, feel free to help yourself to snacks in the bin or ornament, whatever you wish to take.
The candidates are able to vote, in case you don't know, if you vote.
We can't. We can.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Everyone can vote.
Here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I love being a card, thanks.
All right. Here you go, Jen.
Don't hit me in the face. I know I'm short, but come on.
Sorry.
Over me. Over me.
I'm going to do my own. And then
everyone get one?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to forget. Let's go here. Did you get one? All right, I'm gonna. You got one.
I thought grandparents cannot vote.
Yep, they can. You're part of PTO. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because she had signed on. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You're on off of it. I'm not doing it.
I thought you were getting up. Sorry.
Oh goodness.
You want me to take back over?
Yep.
Okay, you can sit down.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for your help.
Well, yeah, she went to take like 5 goldfish, and he's like, yeah, she's no.
Did everyone's vote go in the bag?
First time she's ever had one.
That was the quickest vote for anything ever.
And usually, like I said, I mean, I've been here 21 years in the school. There's never been any competition, so it's kind of nice.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Right.
you're,
I don't know
everyone
what we're
voted
doing.
who wanted to vote?
Okay.
All right, I'm turning it over to the board, and they're going to count them.
So we'll sort them in the pile, and then we can count them out loud. Okay? All right. So just sort them into piles, and then we'll count them after there's nothing else. All right, so we'll count them out loud to you just so you see. So these are the ones for Mike. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And for Melissa, got 1, 2. Hold on a second, they're sticky together. We got 2 there, sorry. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Melissa, you will be the new PTO president if you accept. All right. And thank you, Mike, for helping and continuing to help with the socials and all of the things
Can
that
I
come.
just say that having more than one candidate is amazing.
It is. It's wonderful.
It just shows how much people want to be involved, and I'm really grateful that we had a vote, a real vote.
Like I said, I've never seen a real vote in all the 21 years I've been in this building. So it's kind of a nice. All right. Now it's open discussion. So are there any other issues, concerns, questions? Oh, Doug, you've got a little one under your chair.
Okay.
He's escaping. Anything that anyone wants discussed, brought up, considered, talked about for next meeting? Yeah, sure.
I kind of mentioned this before, but doing a 501c3, how much is that? And would it change things to make
To make it a.
like would it?
We looked into that last year. How much? Yeah.
I'm strongly in favor of that because it opens up so many doors with fundraising. There are so many companies that just say no if you aren't one. There is a cost associated with it, a few $100s. So I mean,
It just seems
but
like
I think it's a good investment.
$100 would be worth the opportunities that it would open up.
I've been strongly in favor, and if PTO can afford it, I think it's something to look at for next year for sure.
There was a big application to do it. Remember that was that, but.
I mean, doing it yourself is very involved, but there are services that do that, and that is the way I would go personally, because that way, you know, it's
more than a couple $100, or is that
the service. I haven't looked into it very deeply, but the service I found, I think the initial application was probably around $600, and then you pay to maintain, and that means they refile whatever paperwork. So I think it's worth the cost, definitely, because it can be a headache.
You know, for example, McDonald's, when I tried to set up a fundraiser there, the woman asked me for the 501c3 information.
I've seen
and
that
I
a
said we
ton.
didn't
I know.
have it. She never even emailed me.
No.
Yes.
I know.
I asked her questions,
Companies
and she
like
didn't even respond.
like you can get American Girl dolls donated to raffle off, and these companies give things away with wild abandon, but they won't deal with you unless you're a 501c3. So it would open up a lot of doors, and I totally am in support
Jen,
of
can you explain to some people what a 501c3 is,
Okay,
please?
I'm not an expert on this.
Just a
I'm a little
quick
involved
example.
in a lot of nonprofit stuff, but so a 501c3 is, my understanding is it's kind of a type of corporation and not for profit. So it's just a formal way of telling the government that you're organized, you are tax exempt, you're operating not, for charity purposes. So the reason why companies look for you to have this is because they can, if they donate to you, they can write it off on their taxes, like they donated to a charity. So without that, we still do get generous donations, but it's just a lot, they're less prone to jump for that opportunity because they can't necessarily write it off. So does that answer the question? I don't know. It's kind of
It does open up a lot of grant opportunities too, I know.
The problem is, it's a very tedious process. You have to hire a lawyer to file the paperwork.
And you have to be very careful about who, like,
unless somebody
the
is a lawyer that
officers,
wants to do
you
it
have
for
to.
free. Yeah,
It's there's a lot that comes with it, a lot of
very
responsibility.
costly to apply for.
You have to be following your bylaws. You have to have the formal officer roles. Make sure everyone's doing everything by the book. You even get into situations where, although it might not apply to PTO, but you can't like necessarily advocate for policy and stuff like that. So there's a lot that goes with it. So it's not a matter of just signing a form, but I think it would be worth considering.
Is it something worth us looking into cost-wise process and presenting it at the next meeting so we can see if it's worth it in everybody's opinion?
Is it possible to reach out to our parents and ask, like you said, if somebody wanted to
I would say
donate,
we
if
looked
there
into it
is a
last
lawyer
year,
that
and it
would
was not
donate their time?
anything,
Danielle, do you remember roughly what it cost?
I
No.
say it was like $800 to $1,200 or something
Okay.
to that effect. On top of, I think they estimated 10 hours to fill out the paperwork, and
then the
a
lawyer
has to do it
fee?
because if it's done incorrectly,
Right.
repercussions.
Okay.
I do remember it being
Yeah,
costly.
it
It was
Yeah.
costly.
And it can take quite a long time
Mhm.
also, once you do the process,
Mhm.
just getting it approved can be a lengthy, so it might, even if we did start that in the beginning of the year, it might not even be done. So, but that's not to discourage it, I think it's definitely worth pursuing if we could.
And once it's done other than annual fees or something like that? Or
Well, I don't know about annual fees, but if you weren't using a service fee, you have to just make sure you have on file the current officers, so they know who's running the organization. And I'd have to look more into it, but yeah, there's definitely things to maintain the status that you have to report on.
Any other questions or anything want to be brought up? All right, can we make a motion to adjourn? All right, thank you for coming.